Welcome back. All African states, including Nigeria today, are commemorating the African Day for Technology and Intellectual Property in realization of the importance of intellectual property protection to national development across the continent.
Day of September is set aside in compliance with the resolution made by the then Organization of African Unity OAU, now African Union AU, Council of Ministers and Assembly of Heads of States and Governments at Addis Ababa, Ethiopia in July 1999. The commemoration is set aside to arouse the latent creativity and inventive spirit of young innovators and inventors, as intellectual property is one of the ways through which rapid development of a nation can be achieved. Also, it is to further sensitize and facilitate the domestication of technology and development of intellectual property rights IPRS system in African and reawaken the creative ability of the people on the continent to eradicate poverty and drive sustainable development. In Nigeria, the National Office for Technology Acquisition and Promotion, NOTAP, an agency saddled with the responsibility of promoting the inventive and innovative spirit of Nigerians over the years, commemorates this day to demonstrate to children and youths the importance of intellectual property rights to nation building. However, the agency regrets to announce that this year, due to the raging COVID-19 pandemic, it is shelving the exhibition program to adequately prepare for 2022 commemoration.
All right, let's expand the discourse. We have a guest joined us in the studio, Director General NOTAP, that's the National Office for Technology Acquisition and Promotion, Dr. Dan Azumi Ibrahim. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Dr.
All right, now we know the importance of intellectual property protection when we're looking at national development, and as the office mandated for the promotion of inventive and innovation of young minds in Nigeria. What would you say? How would you say rather Nigeria has fared?
Well, I think the culture had been a very weak culture of protecting intellectual assets in this country. And the National Office for Technology Acquisition and Promotion saw a gap, and realizing that it is intellectual property that rules the world now, because nations are now judged by the intellectual capabilities rather than their resources they own. So we realize that a lot of research and development takes place in this country. But unfortunately, we are not keen, or we have a very poor culture of protecting that intellectual asset. So when we saw this gap, we felt there was need for us to sensitize Nigerians, particularly our researchers, so that once you reach any, or you come out with any innovation or invention, which we feel can translate into product and services, the first and the most important aspect of it before you publish is you protect the intellectual assets. Like other African countries, Nigeria including other African countries, their economies are based on imported technologies. The technologies that power their respective economies are imported. And if you look at the manufacturing sector, you look at the transportation sector, and anything that you can think of, Nigerians and indeed Africans pay heavily as licensing fee. So we feel we have Nigerians who are intellectuals who are coming out with invention and innovations. So long as these innovation and innovations are not protected, they may not likely going to be commercialized. And unless they are commercialized before they have any economic value to our own country and Africa in general.
Now, the world is celebrating the African Day for Technology and Intellectual Property. What is the focus for this year, and how will such a day, which is aimed at raising awareness on the protection of intellectual property, help to improve on this?
You see, as I had earlier said, we are major consumers of intellectual properties of other people, research and development in Nigeria and Africa as a whole. So now the African Union, or the OAU at that time, now African Union, realized the need for the continent to sensitize their researchers to protect their intellectual assets, because that is what would ensure sustainable development of the system. We should begin to reduce the shackles of dependency on foreign imported technologies. How do we reduce the shackles is by, first of all, protecting our intellectual assets and try to translate these intellectual assets into product and services. So 13th day of every September, now the African Union realizes the need for them to sensitize Africans, to sensitize scientists within the African continent on the need to protect their intellectual assets so that they can make contribution towards sustaining development of not their respective countries, but Africa at large.
What about the agency, NOTAP? What is it doing to domesticate this technology and development drive?
Yes, we register technology transfer agreements into this country because, as I said earlier, 90% of technologies that power the Nigerian economy are imported. So we allow technologies to come into the country, but we prepare our magnet. Who are the magnet? The human capacities. Okay. Any technology coming into the system, when we register it, we only register it for 3 years. And we expect, before they come for renewal, deliberate efforts are made by Nigerians to absorb some of those technologies. I'm glad to say Nigerians are absorbing some of these technologies. When they are coming for the second cycle of renewal, we look at their staff strength. If probably in the first instance they had about 10, 15 expatriates, we'll tell them that now in the next 3 years, we want to see the number of expatriates reduced and we want to see Nigerians taking their place. I'm telling you they are adhering strictly to this. And I'm glad to say now, particularly in the manufacturing sectors, you will see capacities developed by Nigerians in terms of process technology. And I also realize that some of those multinationals even send Nigerians outside the country to assist in handling one issue or the other. That is absorption of the technology. So if technology is 3 years old in this country, we expect before the next 3 years, good part of it will be captured by Nigerians. Where we feel Nigerians have domesticated some of those technologies, we ensure that the licensing fee has come down, unless maybe there is another complex technology coming into the system. So if maybe this year, in the first instance, we give them 3% of the net sales, when they are coming for the next one, maybe it may be 1.5 or 2%.
All right.
So it will gradually be going down.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Dan Azumi Ibrahim. Of course, the goal is to reawaken the creative ability of the people if we're talking sustainable development. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay.